Hello dear viewers and welcome back. Lean in, because today's debate cuts right to the heart of palace parenting, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Behind the smiles and school runs, royal watchers say a quiet dilemma is forming at Adelaide Cottage. How do William and Kate raise a future king without accidentally creating two resentful spares? It's a question loaded with history, bruised by recent headlines, and haunted by cautionary tales that still cast long shadows over Windsor. The spark came from a fresh round of commentary pointing to Prince Andrew and Prince Harry as flashing warning lights for the Waleses as they steer three children through very different destinies. George, now 12, is the heir with a runway laid out in front of him. Charlotte and Louis, bright, beloved, and just as public-facing, are growing up in the grey zone between duty and independence, where attention can curdle into comparison and expectations can harden into pressure. That's where trouble can start, say the insiders, if the balance isn't handled with care. The unease isn't theoretical. Modern royal history is already punctured with what happens when a number two loses faith in their place. One path, critics say, looks like Prince Harry's dramatic break in 2020, the step back, the explosive interviews, the memoir revelations that turned private pain into global conversation. Another path, they add, looks like Prince Andrew's slow-motion implosion, the Newsnight catastrophe in 2019, the Epstein entanglement that scorched reputations, the lingering questions over conduct and entitlement the family still can't quite outrun. Different men, different decades, different triggers, but to many observers, the same root ache, a second son who felt adrift in a system built for the first. That's why the murmured advice drifting toward Windsor sounds so pointed. Keep the family unit tight. Keep the lanes clear. Make sure Charlotte and Louis get purpose that isn't just a footnote to their brother's destiny. Ensure they know they matter for who they are, not just where they stand in line. In other words, don't let winner takes all become the silent rule of the house. People close to William and Catherine insist they're already thinking this way. You can see it in the little choices: equal camera time at big events, school-first routines, hobbies protected from the circus, engagements that showcase Team Wales rather than a single star. The princess has long championed early years and mental health, not as a vanity banner but as a family blueprint: strong bonds, calm routines, space to grow. The prince has shifted toward tangible projects and fewer, better causes, a model of focus that signals to all three children that royal is a job description, not a personality. And yet the weather is unequal by design. The heir is the sun, siblings live in changing shade. That isn't cruelty, it's constitutional reality. So the game becomes flooding the garden with enough light for everyone. Some courtiers privately argue a slimmed-down monarchy helps, giving Charlotte and Louis freedom to build serious, non-royal careers alongside limited service. Others warn slimming can shrink their sense of belonging, fewer roles can mean fewer reasons to stay. It's a tightrope either way, and there's no handbook that guarantees a safe crossing. There is, however, a counterexample many point to with relief: Prince Edward. Long cast as the quietest of the Queen's sons, his reputation has aged into something rare: respect without drama. Friends say he didn't chase spotlight or status, he built a steady life alongside Sophie, now one of the firm's most dependable operators. Ask longtime palace hands and they'll tell you the unfashionable truth: partners matter, pace matters, and character matters. Not every spare becomes a saga. Some become adults who know who they are and do the work in front of them without needing the room to spin. So what does doing it differently look like for the Wales children today? Not in slogans, but in daily life. It looks like rotation, not rivalry, letting George lead at state moments while Charlotte anchors school initiatives or sport, and Louis explores in lower light. It looks like ring-fencing off-duty zones where cameras simply don't go, however much the internet clamors. It looks like diversified identities: music, STEM, languages, sport, because a well-built self is harder for the spotlight to swallow whole. It looks like digital guardrails that make sense in 2025, minimal personal social media, supervised posting through official channels only, and a hard line between performative sharing and genuine belonging. Education choices, always a lightning rod, are part of this architecture. Whatever school gates they eventually walk through, the familiar traditions of Eton-adjacent paths, or a more modern mix, the signal from Kensington is the same: ordinary rhythms where possible, duty deliberately rationed, and exposure calibrated rather than constant. You could see the blueprint this year: high-impact family appearances around key commemorations, then a rapid retreat into normal summertime. They surfaced together when the moment mattered, they disappeared together when it didn't. That invisibility is intentional. It's also fragile. Because the world won't always cooperate. Every missed engagement sparks a think piece. Every holiday breeds a headline. Every sibling comparison gets amplified by a million screens. The same chorus that warns against brewing resentment can, with a single viral post, push it along. That's the paradox confronting today's palace parents. Protect the children from the machine while the machine demands proof you're protecting them. Sources say the couple's internal mantra is deceptively simple: purpose before profile. That means when Charlotte steps forward, it should be for something that feels hers, not because a diary slot needs filling. When Louis appears, it should be age-true, not because a meme made him a mascot. When George trains for destiny, it should come with genuine mentorship, not ceremonial choreography alone. Think structured backstage internships at the Duchy, real shadowing at defense engagements, time with veterans and first responders where the cameras aren't invited. Think practical literacy, finance, law, media, baked in early so none of them discover adulthood through headlines. There's another lever the Waleses are said to value: maternal ballast. Catherine's own family remains a quiet, stabilizing presence, grandparents who don't need a press release to matter, aunt and uncle who feel like regular life. It's unglamorous, uncontroversial, and wildly effective. The message to three growing minds is subtle but vital: your world is bigger than a balcony. Of course, even the best plan will be tested. Adolescence arrives with opinions, university years come with freedom, partners bring their own orbits. That's when the spare narrative historically bites, at the first collision of personal desire and public duty. If the Waleses can enter that decade with habits already set, private spaces respected, non-royal competence earned, royal service framed as adult choice rather than childhood script, they soften the sharpest edges of the old story. None of this erases the cautionary tales. Andrew is still a cautionary tale. Harry is still a cautionary tale. But they can be guideposts instead of ghosts. If entitlement is the enemy, you fight it with earned skill and grounded circles. If resentment is the risk, you lower it with meaningful lanes that don't require the crown to feel complete. If comparison is the poison, you dilute it with different definitions of success inside the same family. Will it work? History says it's never easy and sometimes impossible to please duty, destiny, and adolescence at once. But if the goal is to raise three adults who feel valued, useful, and free from the corrosive idea that love is rationed by rank, then this quieter blueprint might be the boldest move of all. Tell us what you think. Is the spare problem solved by a smaller monarchy and wider horizons, or does that only create a new kind of distance? Should Charlotte and Louis be steered toward defined royal lanes, or encouraged to build largely civilian lives with selective service? Drop your take in the comments, tap like if you want more deep dives that cut through the noise, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. In a family where order is everything, the real story is how you protect the hearts that live just outside the spotlight, and that story is only beginning.